Most people think the big money is only in the next big invention, the next app, some AI agent, or the next category nobody's even heard of. But what if I told you someone just sold a hand sanitizer company for $700 million? Not a tech startup, not a biotech firm, hand sanitizer. And it wasn't a better formula, it wasn't some miracle ingredient, it wasn't even a better price. It was psychology. I'm oddly fascinated, and I'll never stop being curious as to what makes a person spend $18 on hand sanitizer mist when the $3 Purell does the same job, or why someone pays $10 for a jar of peanut butter when the one right next to it is $3. So I went super deep on it, and I studied the brands, I studied the founders, and what I found is every single boring product that's won big, and I mean really big, is using the same 3 psychological triggers. And when you understand how to stack them, you not only find better product ideas, but you build brands that people are generally obsessed with. So let's get into it. I run a creative agency called Orange Tree Studios, where we focus heavily on growth, positioning, and even handle some product development too. I've seen what works, what doesn't, up close with real products, real budgets. And the pattern I keep seeing has nothing to do with having the best product. And it has everything to do with understanding people better than your competitors do. And that leads us into trigger number 1, identity signaling. I've talked about this in previous videos, but there is a clear truth on why people buy things. They are buying an ideal version of their future selves. Every single purchase, from a $3 coffee to a $300 jacket, is a brick. And those bricks are building a foundation of who that person believes they are, or who they're trying to become. And the most successful boring product founders figure out how to turn their product into a form of self-expression, like Eric Ryan redesigning the hand soap bottle with method. Because if you zoom out and start thinking about your product as something that people live with, not just something that they use, everything changes. The design changes, the packaging changes, the entire story changes. A perfect example of this is Graza. It's just olive oil. Olive oil has been in the same dark glass bottle for decades. Nobody really thinks about it. You honestly dread it when you have to buy it, and you probably just look for what's on sale and move on. But Graza came in and put their olive oil in a squeeze bottle. They changed the form factor, called one sizzle for cooking and called one drizzle for finishing. They made the design look good enough to just leave on the counter. And suddenly, buying Graza isn't just buying olive oil. It's buying the identity of a food-obsessed, design-conscious home cook who actually knows the difference between a finishing oil and a cooking oil. People leave it out on their kitchen counter on purpose. They put it on their Instagram stories with their food. They start gifting it, and that results in 118 million in revenue in the last year for olive oil. Or look at One Trick Pony, peanut butter, organic Argentinian peanuts, sea salt, a fun, colorful design, and it's $10 a jar. The $3 jar literally sits on the shelf right next to it, and people are still choosing the $10 one because the person they're specifically speaking to isn't looking for just another peanut butter brand. The identity they're speaking directly to is someone who eats intentionally, someone who pays attention to what goes into their body and wants to look cool while doing it. It's the perfect example of this idea of narcissism and altruism in a product. The narcissistic reason is it looks good, it's a flex to own, it signals status, and the altruistic reason is it's better for you, it could help someone, it's conscious, it just means something. And the brands that stack both of those together turn their product into a literal mirror. So the question you need to think about with your product is, what does owning this say about me? If you can't answer that clearly, your customer can't either, and you'll lose. Super quick break to announce that we have officially made it, and we have the channel's first sponsor, which is today's sponsor, and that is Particle. I want to show you a real example of how good this tool is. So we've been talking about Graza. With Particle, you can see the actual numbers and the real data of their best-selling products, their recent marketing and assets. And my favorite part about Particle is actually the trends feature. So over here, you can see what categories are trending. You can see what people are searching for. And if you have a product idea, you can come in here and see if it actually has legs, it has some motion. So if you run an e-commerce brand, if you are just curious about the market, kind of want to see what's around the corner and what's next, I definitely recommend jumping on Particle. They also have a Claude and a ChatGPT connector that has supercharged everything for me. Link in my bio for a 14-day trial. Back to the video. Trigger number 2, and this is where most brands completely drop the ball. It's not just about who the customer is. It's also about the world they feel like they belong to when they use your product. Humans are tribal. We've been wired for thousands of years to find our group and stay in it. And one of the things I found from doing this deep dive is the best founders steal from other worlds. They look at what's working in a completely different category and bring it somewhere it's never been before. They'll pull design from one world, fragrance or taste profile from another, maybe even a material choice from somewhere entirely different, and mix it all together to make it feel like it's something completely new in the aisle that they're entering. And that's essentially world building at its core. You're not out here just inventing something from scratch. You're combining things that already work in a way that nobody in your category has thought to do yet. A great example is this brand Vacation. a sunscreen brand. Every other brand on the sunscreen market is selling fear. Protect yourself, don't get burned, don't get cancer, clinical, medical, spray. Vacation did the complete opposite. They went back to 1980s beach nostalgia, retro packaging, interesting stints like pool toy, and campaigns that look like old Club Med ads. Their sunscreen smells like a vacation, their brand feels like a vacation. They didn't go and change the SPF formula to compete on specs. They changed the entire emotional world around the product. For example, before this, when would you ever see someone flexing on their IG story what type of sunscreen they're using, or showing how cool their sunscreen bottle is? But that's what people are doing, and that is what Vacation has created for their brand. It's a vibe. It's a membership card to a world where summer is an entire personality. To go even deeper on this, look at Heyday Canning, canned beans. We couldn't be further in the depths of boring products than canned beans. But Heyday jumped in this aisle and positioned with bold flavors, premium packaging, and a story about real ingredients and real sourcing. $4 for a can of chickpeas, which is double the price of the can right next to it on the shelf. But Heyday is crushing. And it's the same story all over again. Someone who cares about what they eat, wants real food, but doesn't have time to cook from scratch. That person felt invisible in the canned goods aisle for decades. And now Heyday has made them feel seen. And right here is the difference between a brand people buy once and a brand people evangelize. The formula is simple. Find the customer who's being ignored, build the world specifically for them, make them feel like they found their tribe or their people. Trigger number 3, and this is my favorite one. And it's the reason boring categories are actually the best place to build brands right now. I call it the counterposition effect. Here's the psychology. When every product in a category looks the same, the brain just goes on autopilot. It stops paying attention, it just grabs whatever's sort of familiar or just the cheapest. But the moment one product looks radically different packaging design, different form factor, super crazy price, or some wild ingredient, the brain snaps back, it pays attention. It starts to get a little curious. And that's how we circle back to TouchLink, the hand sanitizer, a $3 commodity product that peaked during the pandemic and should have just gone back to being completely invisible. But TouchLink came and turned it into a $20 mist. They started selling it at Sephora and Ulta next to the perfumes. They counterpositioned the entire category. Everyone else was clinical, functional, sterile. TouchLink was aesthetic, sensory, and just beautiful, which is a move that resulted in a $700 million acquisition in 2025, or better translated as a big fat exit check for hand sanitizer. So how do you actually use this? There's 3 moves. Move 1, audit the identity gap. Look at the category you're building in and just simply ask, what customer is being ignored here? What identity is nobody speaking to? That's your entry point, not the product, the person. Move 2, stack the triggers in order. Start with identity. Get specific about who this person is and what they want to say about themselves when they own your product. Then build the world. Every piece of content, every packaging design, every caption should reinforce that world. Then third, counterposition. Look at what every brand on autopilot is doing in the space and then go the other way. And lastly, think beyond the product. The brands winning in the boring product categories are not winning on specs. And something I recently heard that I absolutely love is to think about the product is actually a souvenir of the culture that you build. Read that again. The product is a souvenir of the culture that you build. That reframe changed everything when I think about building a brand. Vacation isn't winning because their SPF is better. Graza didn't win because they invented olive oil. And TouchLink didn't sell for $700 million because hand sanitizer is super exciting. They won because they understood the customer psychology better than anyone else in the room. That's the real product. The psychology. Everything else is just packaging. But here's how I want to leave you. Stop fighting for attention in categories everybody's already fighting for. The olive oil aisle, the sunscreen shelf, the canned goods section. All of these are products people buy every single day. And before these brands, they did a lot of that without even thinking, without having an attachment to a certain brand name. Those are the categories that have those open door opportunities. It is your job to walk through that door with a real identity and a real counterposition, and you will win for a long time. And if you've got the product going, but you're struggling with growth or need help with the strategy, that's exactly what we do at Orange Tree Studios. So shoot me a message and I would love to talk. And if you like this video, please hit subscribe. I will continue to break down the boring products and the psychology of how you can win in this space. Love y'all. Keep creating.